So, originally, I was gonna do something like Steel or Dark or heck, even Fire. But I've talked about those types a lot. And if I do Steel or Dark right now, I'm gonna have to talk about King Gambit. And I'm pretty tired of saying that name at this point. There are only so many times where I can talk about how good Supreme Overlord and Sucker Punch is before I begin to question my life choices and what it is that brought me here. So I wanted to start this off with a little bit more of a lighthearted tone, and here we are. Obviously, while I am down to have legendaries on the list, I'm not doing the super legendaries. Tapu's pass, but stuff like Zacian doesn't. And this will be primarily singles because that's what I primarily play. We clear? We clear. Good. But before that though, I got some honorable mentions. And also Miss Magius Hardcore Randomizer Nuzlocke, link in the description below. But let's get right into it with the honorable mentions, because I know someone's gonna ask where they are. And I am here to deliver. Honorable mentions. Rabombi, Azumarill, and while I will not be bringing up Megas in this video, they do deserve a mention. So Mega Mawile, Mega Gardevoir, and Mega Altaria are solid Pokemon that I enjoy using. Alright though, no more mentions, only segments from here on out. Let's move on. Grimmsnarl has really good tools at its disposal, and it's been used in a myriad of ways. While it's mostly known for Light Clay and screens, alongside Parting Shot and Thunder Wave to cripple the opposition and get in your sweeper, my eyes have been opened to the fact that back when it was allowed in NU, due to Light Clay being not allowed, there were Grimmsnarls that actually used their base 120 attack and somewhat respectable-ish bulk to run an Assault Vest set that focused more on bulky offense, and being the threat rather than solely getting one in. Tools like Sucker Punch, Spirit Break, and its assortment of coverage options like Ice Punch and Power Whip made it actually kind of good in this role. With this trivia out of the way, yeah, in higher tiers, the screen variant is preferred because it gets in your threats, and sometimes you don't have to play Alolan Ninetales. In wanting to dodge talking about steals, I have let Clefable go without a weakness. What have I done? Now, I am being held at Cosmic Power plus Stored Power Point, unable to escape doing the Clefable segment. There's gotta be a way out of this one. There's gotta be some sort of way to escape the divine punishment from Pixie Plate Arceus, who keeps taking away years of my lifespan and forcing me to talk about the Magikarp Pokemon that's really good due to its ability and expansive move pool, full of amazing options for just about any situation, despite its seemingly mediocre stats. But alas, I am not but a victim to the horrendous fate of having to repeat myself, all because of my lack of foresight. If only there was a way to transition the next segment seamlessly without any sort of question. Oh hey, is that the transition to number 8? It has gone back and forth for me a lot on whether or not Ninetales is better than Clefable or Clefable is better than Ninetales. However, at the moment, Ninetales is responsible for a lot more unironically degenerate stuff than Clefable, which weirds me to say, and it's all because of the screens that I have gone on about a lot. Aurora Veil is a good move. Snow Warning is a good ability. This Pokemon is excellent support. I just talked about this Pokemon in the regional variants video, so I'm not going to go into any further detail. Good speed, good support, get screens up, gives you an advantage in the weather war. Go sweep a team with screens offense. Speaking of offense, I think Enamorus is definitely a very strong addition to Generation 9. Stuff like Mystical Fire, Earth Power, and Moonblast are all amazing tools, and it has the option to run a weird mixed attacking set with Contrary Superpower, a weird special attacking set with Calm Mind and Substitute, or a choice set because you never truly expect getting slammed by a Specs Moonblast that comes off of a base 135 special attack, or a Scarfed one that comes off of a base 106 speed. Yeah, it's frail and has a decent bit of weaknesses, but this thing isn't meant to be taking hits. It's meant to kill what's ever in front of it and then retreat in the face of a bad matchup. A very hit and run type approach, or a late game cleaner if that's more your playstyle. Overall, Enamorus has become an adapted to and somewhat welcome addition in the current climate of Pokemon. Rather than making this segment just about how good Magic Bounce is, or saying Trick Room somewhere in this segment, because yes, those are in fact two of Hatterene's best qualities. I'm gonna try to take a different approach with this segment. We talk about Hatterene a decent bit, and so I want to talk about something cool I saw in a YouTube video. Did you know that Hatterene gets agility? And for some reason can play this weird agility combine stored power set? Why can it do this? Who allowed this to happen? I don't know. It can also choose to use the Key Berry to buff its defenses if it's hit by a physical attack, or it can choose the riskier but easier to use Grassy Seed if it happens to be paired with Rillaboom. Yeah, as it turns out, it does more than deny hazards in set TR, because it turns out it can be used as a sweeper. And I think that's fascinating. I've always considered Tapu Lele to be better than Enamorus in just about every way. Yeah, it's slightly slower and a little more reliant on that scarf at times, and has like slightly lower special attack, and that is unfortunate. On the other hand, it lacks a stealth rock weakness that pressure Enamorus to use boots, and with Psychic Surge, it can not only initiate the fabled Terrain War in order to turn off Rillaboom's Seed Abusers or Tapu Koko's Paradox buddies, but the Psychic Terrain it spawns makes its Psychics do lethal damage. Whereas Toxapex can live in Earth Power, it wants none of a Stab Terrain boosted Psychic. Tapu Lele's ability to break walls is unprecedented. Sure, Focus Blast being its anti-steal option sucks, but it has to have a downside somewhere. This Pokemon also prevents a certain stupid idiot from sucker punching your grounded Pokemon, and I think this is worth looking into. Run alongside Sneasler in formats where one can play Sneasler, because Psychic Seed Sneasler is dumb stupid. Hawlucha works too. Iron Valiant being good? What is this craziness? Mystic rating Iron Valiant this highly? Absolutely insane. Yeah. God, this Pokemon remains good. Makes me glad I didn't do a top 10 best fighting types, because not only would Valiant be on this list, but it would be joined by Great Tusk, Annihilate, and Iron Hands. You know, I think the next list I should do should be about rocks. I want to talk about rocks. We're doing rocks. Anyways, with my revelation out of the way, I guess I should quickly recap Iron Valiant in case anyone forgot. It can run a lot of sets. Booster energy to boosted speed is amazing. It's an excellent attacker on all sides, and has little issue running mixed variants. It's one of the few Pokemon in recorded history to use Hypnosis unironically, and land it consistently because Iron Valiant players are built better, and its type combination is so offensively potent that it makes Ogerpon Fire blush at times underneath the mask. Moving on. Tapu Koko feels like a Pokemon that, thanks to Iron Valiant and Iron Hands, go figure, can't actually exist in Gen 9. I think Game Freak made the conscious decision to keep the Tapus out of Gen 9 for now, because they know what Tapu Koko can and will do. Not only is it blazing fast thanks to its blazing 130 speed, but thanks to its electric surge buffing its stab, it hits really hard, regardless of having only base 95 special attack. What about the 115 attack? Well, physical sets are less common because of no play rough, so they'll play special for stuff like formerly HP Ice, and then Dazzling Gleam and Grass Knot. Tapu Koko kind of has Dragapult syndrome, where its speed and solid offenses let it get away with running whatever it wants. Physical, special, mixed, screens, some sort of pivoting move in the mix, and it's gonna be good because it just is. What it lacks in terms of having Dragapult's better stats, it makes up for with its ridiculous ability, because this terrain shuts down Spore and was the real first instance of Unburden being truly powerful, as it shot Hawlucha into OU relevance every time it was around. And if you play Nat decks, electric terrain teams with the Iron Mons exist, and they're pretty damn good. But god do I hate Iron Hands. You would think having the best defensive type combination in the game would make it number one, especially with access to Draining Kiss for recovery, while it combines and iron defenses all over the competition, and has been so hard to kill at times that it almost feels like you're punching into a brick wall every time you're fighting it. But there's one Pokemon I consider to be a little bit more of a piece of garbage to deal with, but we'll get to that. Magearna here has access to an incredibly varied kit, although the combined Iron Defense stored power set is the one it's most well known for. It can play shift gear to increase its speed, and another stat for reasons. It can run a full offensive set with floor cannon. Flash cannon is nice, and so is access to all of Energy Ball, Thunderbolt, and Ice Beam. It's simply existing in Gen 9, and being an excellent Trick Room Pokemon is what made Ursaluna a viable Pokemon, as the two were partners in crime that would proceed to burn our crops, poison our water supply, and bring a plague onto our houses. I don't know why we sat around and waited for them to do that, but I digress. It's also got spikes for hazard support and Volt Switch for a pivot. This is the textbook example of how to make a stupid broken Pokemon. And yet, I can't even shamelessly plug Mismagius when talking about this Pokemon. You see, back when Gen 9 first started, in the first 2 to 3 days of the game's lifespan, there were 2 Pokemon I wanted to see banned above all else. Because it didn't take metagame development to understand that these 2 were not okay to have in the tier. Houndstone, if only because Last Respects, and I really just wanted Last Respects gone. Houndstone's ban sucked, but it's back now and we're okay. And then of course, Flutter Mane. The meta was horrible. The gameplay was horrible. Flutter Mane was horrible. It's an irredeemable monster. Luckily, the console isn't stupid, and it didn't take them too long to get rid of the problem with ruthless efficiency. Now, why did I feel this way? I mean, it has a lot of great things going for it. It's got 135 in its special attacks and speed, a nigh unresisted type combination with the only resistances to it being bad, like Pyroar and the infinitely less bad Grafaiai. It also has access to Calm Mind to boost itself and booster energy to make it even faster, and the only reliable counterplay to it was precisely Scizor, who wasn't that good in OU anyway. Plus, it had Mystical Fire to catch Scizor on the Switch if it wanted, and the ability to clean up teams because if given a singular free turn at any point, it won on the spot. 3 whole immunities alongside this, and its only weaknesses being Ghost and Steel off the top of my head. All of this giving it a surprising amount of staying power. Yeah, this thing has my ire. It's the best non-super legendary fairy, and it was one of the only 2 Pokemon I ever wanted to see be removed from Gen 9 OU without question. Although every ban that would follow suit very much deserved it. This Pokemon is why I can never dislike Scizor, because it killed Flutter Mane for me. And that's all I needed. Yeah, I really don't like Flutter Mane, and seeing it in VGC continuing to tear things to shreds has caused me disinterest in a format. I am Flutter Mane's greatest enemy due to the war crimes it committed. But speaking of war crimes, what's a Pokemon in your eyes that has committed various war crimes and is generally unpleasant to play against? I, for one, do not like seeing specifically Dondozo in Team Preview, as it's annoying every time.